Welcome, Rhoda. Thank you for joining us today. So, Rhoda, for many years, you will know that we worked very hard to be person-centered, and we prided ourselves on it. However, your training has transformed our ability to be so much more person-centered, so much more focused on people's strengths and positive attributes, as well as honing in on what is really challenging and important to them. The impact that we see in our everyday work has been extraordinary. What is it about the collaborative communication approach that makes this difference?
I think in a way you've captured that in the question, Jen. It's about really getting alongside people, listening hard, understanding the challenges they face, and also noticing the strengths, resources, resilience they have to overcome those, but making sure that we don't leap at a solution. People who care about the pain, discomfort, and challenge that people have often say to me, it's just a driving instinct to try and fix that, to try and provide something that's going to make it better for people. And that is such a natural human reaction to sadness, challenge, difficulties that people are facing. But actually, what that ends up risking is that we override the very person who's at the heart of it and the very issues that are at the heart of their lives. So the key is about being able to listen, think about not what we put in, but what we draw out, so that people are thinking in a different way about what is it I know about this person just in this conversation or watching their lives, or what do I see in their strengths and their abilities, and then letting people hear some of that so people can see themselves through our eyes. If the temptation is, what can I get them that's going to make it better? If that's the first point that people think about, then it squeezes out this other discussion. And it's not that those things that we might get people and do for people are not absolutely crucial and important, but if they come first, then we talk too much about what we're going to deliver rather than what together we're going to discover. Otherwise, we throw ourselves at solutions that seem okay. So if we're all doing that, throwing ourselves at solutions, we don't have any thinking time, and we don't deepen the possibility that we'll really get to the heart of it and build on our own hopes and aspirations. So one of the important things is, in collaboration, we discover the heart of the matter. That conversation doesn't take longer than trying to fix, but it is a very different experience.
Absolutely. What we didn't expect and what has been an amazing outcome is how much happier and more supported we feel within our organisation as staff and volunteers. The approach has improved how we relate and support to each other. This is is this a familiar story to you across other organisations in Wales?
Yeah, absolutely a familiar story. And there's a number of reasons for that. Firstly, people are really doing the work they want to be doing, and they're seeing the difference that is making. And for all of us, that productivity, that contribution to other people's lives, a sense that we're really making a difference, lifts our well-being and our sense of purpose. So people are really feeling it's a good fit between their values and their principles and their skills and what they care about and what they end up doing every day. So when nothing's jarring, people want to be where they want to be. But I think there's another feature to it too, and that's about the language, that's about the empathy, it's about the respect and the trust and trustworthiness. And we apply those consistently, whoever we're in a conversation with. So our first thought, and certainly in your teams, the first thought they have is, I wonder how my colleague feels. And when that happens, people get a real sense of safe places to explore, to think, to talk, and to become bigger than the sum of their parts, because they feel that the platform of trust and trustworthiness, of values and principles, is so powerful that they can safely explore new territory.
That's exactly what we are finding, that not only are people supporting each other more effectively than ever and people feel more supported, but people feel safer to explore ideas and innovation emerges as a result.
A lot of people say that they had poor relationships across professional groups, before thinking this way, and now they respect each other's perspectives and each other's worlds and each other's challenges. And instead of just stereotyping those people, they're thinking, "God, we're all human beings in this together. And what we're really interested in is what we can achieve for the people whose interests we share."
Because that's so fundamental now. We find in that eye rolling is about somebody, whether it's a colleague or whether it's a family or have you, just doesn't happen. So there's empathy comes first, and that
Yeah,
it makes such a difference. So
yeah.
over time, we've also noticed that people that we support have a much greater sense of agency, and they are connecting with and supporting each other so much more, and uh, more volunteering. And it seems that this training not only has an incredibly positive effect on professional practice, but helps us all as citizens. It helps us support each other in even more empowering ways than we did before. What do you think about the potential for sharing a collaborative communication approach with across communities?
In a way, what you're describing is ensuring that we're in a dynamic relationship with people, that we're not either passive recipients of care and support or deliverers of care and support. We're actually together producing something new that others may need and want. And that unnatural divide, them and us divide of the past, doesn't help us at all, does it, in the truth of people's enormous capacity, participation, skill, knowledge, compassion, love. And there's not a dividing line for that. So if we think collaboratively, if we look for each other's strengths and resources, and then we combine those, then that ripples out into a whole philosophy for our community engagement. And we don't know where that can lead if we start from there.
So,
Yeah.
and because of this, as well as supporting people and families on a very personal level, this strength-based mindset has helped us be much more effective in our work awareness raising across communities and organisations, and in supporting carers to have a much stronger voice and influence on a local level, a regional level, and across national platforms. It seems that the collaborative communication approach, the strength-based, outcomes-focused mindset is a cornerstone skill and mindset. Why do you think that is?
Well, what I observe happening, Jen, is this two-way process, because we're all better heard if we're better at listening. And what I'm seeing people do is really change things from the ground up by listening hard, empathizing with the people they're listening to, creating that safe place, and then they get heard. And when people know that it's their skills and communication and values and principles they bring to that room, not knowledge and status, but all those things that make a difference, then the respect and the trustworthiness grows and people get properly heard.
I've noticed that the carers representation on the local partnership board in key steering group areas, young carers and adult carers, on local engaged to change forums, co-producing the local newspaper, because carers and citizens and heads of services and workers are coming together and collaborating together. The results are so much richer than they ever were before, and it's really really exciting, and it feels like we could go so much further together.
It's the energy that generates, feeds back into all of our energy, doesn't it? some of the ideas that you would never, ever been able to think up are coming from all kinds of groups and people across, and it's changing the nature of those, especially of those huge organizations who've always done it the way they've always done it. And now the doors are open, the minds are open, the hearts are open, and people are ready to unpick it and do something different.
Going forward, through the pandemic and beyond, what is your message to us as community members uh, and as organisations who support people through challenges?
Try not to define what a good outcome looks like for somebody. If you try and fit things from the outside in to people, there'll only be a few people that will actually work for. So we really need to start from the position that people are unique, families are unique, communities are unique, and the skills that we bring to bear learns about that and develops individual and family outcomes that emerge from them, not inflicted upon them. You know, people talk about being released from the structures of care and support and allowed to generate original thoughts and ideas. We need to make sure in every stage we're not planning to do things for people, to people, but working alongside people in growing what works for them. It's perfectly possible to measure all of that. We just make sure we hold the individual at the heart of it, the uniqueness, and we measure where are we together in our attempts to reach a better outcome, and how far have we come and where do we still need to go. We can measure all of that as we have our collaborative conversations. We don't need to inflict a picture of what life should be like and then try and measure that.